American Murder, The Family Next Door, 2020. A trailer about Shannon Watts and her two young daughters who went missing with the heartbreaking details emerging. The family's story made headlines around the world. 1 hour, 23 minutes and 49 seconds. I hated seeing how stressed her friend was when they were initially looking for Shannon and the kids. She had no idea the horror she would learn. She and her son pretty much knew right away. That's the sad part. Her son told the cop, before they even got in the house and Chris got there, that he kept changing his story and was being shady. I think Nicole knew the moment she saw Shannon's shoes and then confirmed when she found kids' medicine and Shannon's phone. Just get a divorce. When does murdering your whole family become a solution to be with your mistress? I never understood this. We have no fault divorce. If you want out, just leave. Nobody made you get married, nobody makes you stay married. Just watched the doc, and I thought it was really well made. Such a horrific crime. Heartbroken for the family. Spalia. The video of the fetus on the neighbor's television right as they were scrubbing the security footage was such an eerie coincidence. Exclamation mark. Also kudos to the filmmakers for making such a compelling piece with just sourced footage. And right after the shot of the fetus, it's a skull in oil. Truly like the universe was revealing something. Sorry, what? I'm not sure I wanna watch that, but I'm curious to better understand what's happening at this point in the doc. Does it show anything new? Question mark. I've watched every YouTube video of him, so I think that's most of the footage out there. I watched most of this guy's interrogation interview. He seemed like the most bland person devoid of personality with absolutely no idea what he was doing. They played him like a fiddle, and the woman who administered the lie detector test especially. She's seriously a master at it. So friendly and setting him at ease at the beginning. Then switching up when he failed the test. He doesn't deserve to have a single photo with that family. Fuck. I remember seeing this. I don't think I can watch it again. Dude, that neighbor called it off the bat. I guess when you know you know. I used to live in the same neighborhood as the Watts. We lived up against a walking path and have a street. Bernard, also named Bella. When their daughter of the same name learned this, she'd run up the sidewalk screaming Bella. I'm not one for the death penalty, but why this monster gets to live the rest of his days is beyond me. The house is still empty, and I wish they'd level it and replace it with a park to honor the beautiful girls who lost their lives. Who would live in that house? Question mark? Question mark? The park sounds like a fantastic idea. Yes, this wore a real life horror flick. It made me question whether evil is actually fueled by stupidity. Yeah, he comes across as an incredibly dim person. I almost wonder if you have to be at least a little bit intelligent to understand why morals are important. You have to think beyond primal urges. And this dude comes across like a creature devoid of humanity. I followed this case from the beginning. Read the autopsy reports. Watched his police interviews. What he did to those little girls was especially heinous. And the fact that he is and was getting love letters from desperate women whilst in jail and in prison is one of the grossest things I've ever heard about. Fuck Chris Watts. That's like any murderer who makes national headlines. They all get letters from crazy people. All I can say is maybe the media is at fault for that. All Chris is doing is rotting in a cell. I'm so glad he's a monster. The things they were writing him though, it was like they thought they could change him or something. There is something very definitely wrong with them. That is for sure. I went to high school with Shannon. A huge thing that doesn't get mentioned enough is how deep she was in the MLM stuff. Like crazy deep, which was the big driver of their debt. When he said direct selling, I assumed MLM. Especially since they had so many videos on Facebook, and how she sounded like she was trying to sell people on her lifestyle in a few of those videos. I wonder why they never mention it. I don't think that wife, tens of thousands of dollars in debt due to MLM and lies about it for decades, plays well into the documentary. In the days and weeks after the murder was discovered, I followed pretty close. I was an acquaintance, not a close friend. But we were still Facebook friends, and am friends with folks closer to her, and I wondered how much they would talk about it. All she posted for years was about her MLM stuff. Birthdays, trips, vacations were all shilling a lifestyle and product. There was a lot about the cars, debt etc. that came out after the fact. I've seen all the true crimes that documented this story. It's beyond ducked up. While I agree with others here about other super ducked up shit, the final road trip in this is something to the level horror crime writers wish they could achieve. One of the most sad and shocking things I could ever imagine. I couldn't imagine it until I saw this. One memory wipe please. I was under the impression he only said the girls were alive until the end to get life in prison and not the death penalty, which would have major difference in his prison life. If he said he killed the girls first, that's premeditation. What an absolute piece of shit that guy is. Clearly family loved him. Those ducking children. How could you do anything to them and remain so cold and calm? Hope he rots. His cellmate and best friend is the kid who killed James Kloss' family and kidnapped her. It'd be a shame if someone accidentally dropped a grenade in that cell. This made me sick to my stomach. I love watching true life crime stories, but this was maybe too real for me. I think with all the footage being real and being so much of it made them feel so much more human. I don't cry at really anything, but by the end my heart was broken. Yeah, that is what made this documentary so fascinating. There was so much real live footage. From her recording everything on Facebook to the security cameras and the police coming into the house. It was definitely a lot. Especially when he described how he killed his children after their mom. I watch true crime stuff, and this guy, for such a shocking crime, he's a bore. A very small person. Killing your family for your mistress is the smallest thing I can think of, and he's so ducking inept. Who kills their family and gets caught mere hours later? Other than the shocking callousness of his crime, and the way they played this idiot at the station, there is nothing interesting about Chris Watts. I think he recently said something like, "Hey, despite all that happened, I'm still a dad." Fucking loser. Agree. Lizard boy. I enjoy a lot of true crime / interrogations because the criminals can be interesting, and same for the interplay between interrogator and suspect. Watts is a total flatline. I did enjoy that polygraph operator, though. I kinda lauded how thick she laid it on with him, but I think she knew what she was dealing with. One of the saddest cases that lives rent-free in my head. I will never understand why he killed them all. It feels like there's more to this story than meets the eye, but maybe I should stop trying to understand pure evil. There is. Netflix doesn't talk about it, but the family was in massive debt. They basically had nothing in the bank account, probably why Shannon was very upset about the dinner that Chris bought for himself. They were basically scraping by. In many parts of the Netflix series, you might have noticed them wearing patches on their skin too. Shannon sold MLM products from Thrive patches, and they often wore them to promote them. People claim she made $80K off of Thrive patches, but it is not at all close to what she made. It was just the revenue group that she was in. 80K sales. I can't really tell you how much profit was made, but my guess is not very much. They were basically living in a massive Colorado, very expensive home on $80K a year combined, and could not get by. That is the work convention that Shannon and her friend went to one day before she was murdered, and when she got dropped off that night, an MLM meeting. I looked at Shannon and Chris' Facebook profiles before he was arrested too. I live in the area and was curious, and he made a post one day prior to complain about money and debt. Not sure how much that drove him. Just mentioning that. What tipped her off about that dinner was that the amount he paid was for more than one meal. She looked up the menu and saw that salmon and a beer would cost $30, not $60 plus. There's a channel called Jim Can't Swim. They renamed the ID channel to JCS Criminal Psychology on YouTube that covered this case. It's a true crime channel which analyzes the case from the moment the police turns up to Chris' house up until the police extract a confession from him. There's about 3 episodes, and they are gut-wrenching but so interesting. I pay $1 a month on Patreon for all of their content, and I have to say that it's the best dollar you could spend. There's hours and hours of true crime cases and analysis documentaries which extensively cover as many aspects as possible about the subject case. I have nothing to do with the channel, so I'm not profiting off this post. I genuinely enjoy their content so much. Didn't he change the ID channel name to JCS Criminal Psychology? Just finished watching this, and although I've seen a lot of the footage from YouTube, It was the first time. Hearing him describe the events leading up to killing his wife and children. Hearing him talk about his kids asking what was wrong with their mom. Making them ride in the car with her body, then the eldest saying no daddy before he killed her, genuinely made me upset. This was worth to watch. Can't believe what some people are capable for. Not just what some people are capable of, but especially a guy who is so seemingly normal and even after her death remains so calm and collected. As the title says, he really is the guy next door! Exclamation mark. I've wasted about 6 hours of life watching his entire interrogation in the bodycam of the police like 2 or 3 times. It's just so interesting watching this guy get manipulated. The female interrogator played him like a fiddle, rubbing his back and telling him he was special, and she understood him. She got him to sing like a canary. It was brilliant of her, really. The footage of him watching his neighbor's camera while standing next to a cop, knowing he was almost on film loading his dead family into the back of his truck, is absolutely ducking mind-blowing. Jim Can't Swim did a great hour-long breakdown of this case. Check that shit out on YouTube. The video was on Reddit some time ago. From the neighbor that day when they confronted the husband at the home. And you see security footage of him loading stuff into his truck early in the morning. And the neighbor is like, Judas sus as duck to the cop when he left the room. I was so impressed with the neighbor tbh. Noticing something was off is one thing, but to play the whole thing so coolly, like he did when they were all watching the video together, was another. Made it seem to Watts that he had nothing on him and was proving his innocence. And then the moment he actually got to be alone with the cop, he ratted him out. Fantastic. Off topic, but still something I noticed. This family was living in a what? 400k plus house, I'd safely assume. Yet in the show they had $1,800 to their name in that checking account pic. Seems like they were living well above their means, to be honest. Pretty sad actually. Yet they portrayed this living well family and MLM online lifestyle is great to her social media followers. Just goes to show ya, not everyone doing as well or is living as great as they portray. From that bank account that was clearly posing for the cameras on social media. Good ol' MLM mints it for ya. Fake it till you make it. Agreed. I think Shannon especially was overly concerned with how things look. Obsessed with presenting an ideal, filtered view to the world. It's kinda screwed up how quickly a story about an entire family being murdered by a shithead father can go from news to Netflix. I feel like I just read about the murders yesterday. In all fairness, his happened in 2018 and he pleaded guilty, so it was a fairly quick trial. And they didn't film anything. Just footage that was already out there. Looks good, but that title is pretty bad. 1. It's generic. 2. It makes me think of other fictional shows, like American Horror Story, or worse, American Vandal, which is a Netflix original mockumentary. Yeah right, don't really get the title either. The Family Next Door would be enough. The American Murder doesn't really add anything. Just finished it. Here are a few of my observations. 1. Chris Watts is a monster. 2. Shannon was a total Karen. 3. The lie detector detective was brilliant. 4. The new girlfriend was not involved at all. 5. Shannon had a great friend in Nicole. 6. I can't believe he ever thought he'd get away with it. The documentary definitely did not show the level the girlfriend was involved. They omitted a lot of facts, Google searches, texts, etc. I was really hoping they'd dig into the girlfriend more. Her Google searches were gross. Watching the body cam footage of police responding to the call from his wife's friend who reported her kissing was chilling. When the husband showed up and took the police through his home and pretended he had no idea what happened, even though we all know he had murdered them, was horrible. Disgusting man. This just makes me think of all these perfect families you see on Facebook, and the mom posts everything on Facebook. But who knows what the real truth is. Not saying she deserved it, and the kids definitely didn't. He should have just left if he wasn't happy, but I found the wife to be super annoying with all her Facebook live streams and just wanting everything on video. They lived with us for a year when they moved to Colorado. My kids are still in therapy. Tell us more. Shannon's best friend really made sure this piece of shit murderer was dealt the hand he deserved. What an absolute pathetic example of humanity. That woman. and her children all lost their lives because of a one person's inability to control their pride, shame, and ego. It's funnier to watch his interview realizing he literally could have left at any moment. He didn't even have to agree to the polygraph. It's amazing how absolutely stupid the vast majority of criminals are. I don't think this could have been any easier to solve outside of him directly turning himself on outright. Cold also taken her phone and replied to that friend. Didn't even check her plans for the day or anything. I'm glad as an idiot, and I can't believe there were people who thought what he did was justified. When Shannon mentioned that her first husband took literally everything from her, it gave me chills. Who would have thought her next husband would take her life? Fuck. Not familiar with this story, but want to watch it. Do you wanna know what part immediately gave me chills? The part about him saying my mother said she was never good enough. Militias are a severe thing, and probably more important than people think. I haven't watched it yet, but it's now streaming on Netflix for who's interested. The trailer made me really curious. I just watched this. I had no idea before, and what I was getting into. But with that title and everything it was pretty obvious in some ways. I'm not going into the morality of the whole thing, because obviously it's all ducked up, and people are terrible. But I can't believe how much of these people's lives were videoed and uploaded. If my wife was doing this to me and my kids, making every moment public, I would have a serious problem with it. There are two real standout moments. Don't want to spoil, but they will be obvious. When are moments supposed to be special now? It always makes me question why people do this. This goes beyond some basic social media. Once you start talking to the camera, as if it's people out there, as if you have an audience, I think you made a conscious choice, or are showing something about yourself. Since a close friend and colleague of my husband's was murdered in a way that made international news, I've been kind of weirded out by my interest in true crime, and I've become much more selective about what I read. But I still find it a fascinating subject, and family annihilators really interest me. I don't know what that says about me, really, but if anyone is interested, one of the best books I've ever read is True Story, Murder, Memoir, Me Culpa, 2005, by Michiel Finkel. If this trailer is any indication, its narrative is in a similar vein as this documentary. Edit. The book is amazing. I don't recommend the film based on it. I remember when this story was happening. I remember seeing him on the news, and I remember thinking, what a dead-eyed ducker. And I knew he did it. The TV interviews he gave are so haunting when you know he killed his wife and his daughters that same day. So terrifying. Just finished watching this. Good God, what a snake of man. He immediately unenrolled the kids from school, tried to put his house on the market, and texted his girlfriend about their future. Son of a bitch has no soul. Is anyone willing to spoil it? Why the hell did he do it? The footage of him watching himself on his neighbor's security camera with the police next to him is one of the more intriguing things I've seen when it comes to criminal stuff. And the neighbor's reaction to it all too. It's a must watch, Edit. This is before it's all found out what has really happened. The entire story leading up to the truth, after the murders took place, is very interesting. I watched the police recordings for this case. It documents everything and is heartbreaking. That piece of shit acted like he cared while his two little girls lay dead in an oil drum. Fuck him. The polygraph lady was freaking amazing. She planted an idea in his head for him to say that he only killed Shannon because she killed the kids. She even said you did the hard part when he confessed. They were so soft and empathetic when CW's father was in the room. And then she and her colleague went for the jugular after that. Imagine unknowingly filming most of the content for your own Netflix murder documentary. The neighbor with the security cam is the true hero in this story. That pose murderer was screwed from the get-go. I can't believe people started attacking Shannon and the kids on social media. Like it's their fault they got murdered. Like people just skipped over the fact that he killed his kids and wife instead of choosing divorce or just leaving. Also, it's shitty he never admits the truth till being backed into the corner. Even said she killed the kids till that last confession. Just watched this. In tears. How can someone do this? Especially to those poor children. They loved him so much. and he was messaging his girlfriend the next day planning their life together. No remorse at all. This was so sad. My heart hurts that he rode an hour with those angels holding each other in the backseat, probably knowing something strange was amiss and they could do nothing about it. Had an entire hour to turn around, take them somewhere. Anything but murder. Shannon had a constant social media presence and showed off her perfect family often. Always looking for a video or photo opus. All that to say, I could see how no one would never suspect him considering how she portrayed him as this great husband and father. I hate how his parents at the end say we love you and we forgive you. Fuck, if my son did some shit like that, I think I would kill him myself. Just watch this thing. Super sad what happened to that family. That guy was a straight monster. But I feel really guilty about some feelings I had about Shannon while watching it. She seemed super bitchy and needy and self-absorbed. Jesus Christ, did everything have to be recorded on Facebook? I just came away with it going, yep, that's why he cheated. I get it, my thing is, why didn't he just get a divorce? There's something wrong with him. The way her parents cried at the hearing broke my heart so much. How he didn't stop and think is beyond me. I hope he is some owned bitch in prison today with a very sore asshole. I almost hate his mother more than him, if that's even possible. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.